Hey, it's Colleen.
Hi, it's Kate.
And it's Megan.
And we're the
Three Scheme Queens. Join us as we discuss popular hoaxes and give you our comedic take on what is fact and what is fiction. If you have a sense of humor and an open mind, come take this journey with us.
We'll tell you what we think, and we'll try to prove it to you.
Is this thing on?
Hey, guys.
Hey, guys, what's up? Welcome back. Colleen's still on her excursion.
Yeah.
Still trekking down that
Elvis, the
that
Elvis impersonator.
Yeah. So, and in the meantime, I will be doing the accents for you.
What's your best accent?
Hello, mate.
So is it time for our
Drink check.
I'm drinking a little seltzer.
Our whole 30-year over here told me that Polar Seltzer is still good, huh?
Natural flavors. You can drink on the whole 30. I like the grape. So I don't like grapefruit in real life, IRL, but I do like grapefruit flavored seltzer.
And I love that you love that because you know what? I get the combo pack and I hate the grapefruit and I give it to my nieces and I give it to Kate.
Yep, I
And
love it. I don't.
You got to find a friend who's going to drink that one flavor of seltzer
Yeah.
that you don't like. I feel that way too with the hard seltzers. You always got to like get that with a friend and be like, okay, I'll be like, I'll take the cherry, you take the grapefruit and the mango because I don't want the grapefruit or the mango.
Yeah.
Or the pineapple. Yep.
Yeah, I'm not a seltzer drinker. I'm not a spiked seltzer.
It's because you're not like a day drinker.
No, beach vibes.
Yeah.
I also don't like to drink on the beach. You know this about me.
Why? Because you're afraid?
No. I get hot.
When you meet Kate, you're like, she's so low maintenance. And then you talk to her for 5 minutes and you're like, you are so high maintenance in a low maintenance body. Like, I don't know. You're just like, I don't know.
I don't appear high maintenance.
You don't. And you can like go with like when we're making plans or whatever, you go with the flow. But yeah. Then it's like, but did I get a snack? Like, is there access to food? Is there access to a bathroom? Am I going to get my good sleep? It's like, I'm exhausted.
You know what? Megan is kind of like Donald Trump, where he didn't even take a pee break before or after.
I will say, I do like Joe Rogan, but it's a big commitment. Like his episodes are very long. So I don't listen to every episode he releases, but I did listen to his interview with Trump.
So Bourbon Boy does listen to Rogan. He loves him. On the follow-up episode, Rogan, I guess, was like, man, he's a machine. It's like a 3.5 interview. He didn't pee before or after the interview. And he had no breaks and he just like went straight through, which is like,
that's not impressive to me.
Yeah.
5 hours without peeing?
Yeah.
So you're drinking a seltzer.
I'm drinking a seltzer. What are you drinking?
I'm drinking some leftover homemade Instant Pot apple cider.
Yeah, Maggie loves an apple cider at home.
Just in the fall.
Yeah.
I feel like I make it once in the fall. I usually maybe make it like at Thanksgiving also. It's good by itself. It's good warm. It's good with some bourbon. Good with some caramel vodka. You can like really do anything with it. And it just feels like fall. And it looks like fall out there today. It's a little warm.
It's a little too warm.
But we got the fall foliage.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so today we are circling back. We're giving you some Diddy updates.
Diddy deeds.
Diddy discussion, part 2.
Part 2, baby.
There will be more to follow. I know we've got some friends of the pod who've been following who want to join in maybe for a guest appearance. I actually reached out to Emily, friend of the pod, who works we've referenced her a lot. She works in the prison system. She works with sex offenders. I asked her if she wanted to guest on an episode. She politely declined.
She said, no, thank you.
She said, let me tell you what she said, though. She said, I don't really think I have anything interesting to add. He's accused of sexual crimes, but it doesn't seem like it's out of paraphilias. He's not really a sex offender in the way we think about it. He seems more like personality driven, perhaps antisocial, but add in money, power, and fame, and it's an ugly mix.
That's what I said when we started, is I thought it was more like, I didn't say antisocial. I said sociopathic.
Yeah.
Which is a type of antisocial personality.
She's really an expert on, like, again, these like abnormal sexual paraphilias, these abnormal sexual components that like drive people to be sex offenders, and that's like a different class. And she's saying he is really like probably his underlying psychiatric issue, but definitely seems more like narcissistic, antisocial, entitled, and he's got money and power, and that is what has driven this.
Oh, so, yeah. He thought we could get away with it.
For sure.
Yeah.
So appreciate the insight, Emily. So going back, we'll just do some updates, see what we've seen. We'll talk about what we've been seeing on social media and what we fact checked and what is real and what isn't. Sound good?
Yep.
Okay. So I did want to start, we kind of went in depth into like, Cassie and how she kind of prompted all of this. And I think we mentioned a little bit about Lil Rod, the producer, who had also filed a lawsuit, but kind of going back and doing a bit of like a deep dive into these accusations. I just wanted to kind of recap that. And again, I would say, I mentioned last time, but Cancel This Clothing Company, he does a pretty good job. He's following this as well of kind of breaking down things. But so if we start with Lil Rod, Rodney Jones, again, he filed a lawsuit before the Cassie lawsuit came out. And he's the producer who worked with Diddy on his 2023 The Love album, Off the Grid. So he worked with Diddy for 14 months. And during that time, he actually lived with Diddy and he acted as a videographer, filming his day-to-day. So this guy's got hundreds of hours.
Oh, no.
Video. So he actually filed a lawsuit before the charges came out against Diddy. Okay. And he filed this claim that during this 14-month period, he was sexually assaulted, allegedly forced by Diddy to engage in sex acts, made to solicit sex workers, drugged, humiliated, and says he was repeatedly groped. He claims to have his own recordings from his capacities as videographer. He says he has videos of Diddy and his team, quote, engaging in serious illegal activity.
Oh, gosh.
So he says he has on video hundreds of hours of recordings of Diddy engaging in illegal activity, including acquisition, use, and distribution of drugs, including mushrooms, ketamine, GHB, cocaine, ecstasy, and marijuana.
Yep.
Distribution and displaying of unregistered illegal firearms, which we're going to talk about in a second. Providing laced beverages to minors and sex workers. He also names Diddy's son Justin, who we mentioned in the last episode, and actor Cuba Gooding Jr. in the suit that he filed against Diddy.
Oh, wow.
He alleges that he discovered hidden cameras in every room, and he believes that Diddy has video recordings of politicians, athletes, and music executives without their consent. And so as a result, Diddy thinks he's above the law. He thinks he's got the T on everyone. He would allegedly capture homosexual activities between rappers, and then he'd blackmail them with this video. And he actually tried to bribe Rodney Jones with Producer of the Year at the Grammys if he would engage in sexual activities.
Oh, my God.
Jones alleges that Diddy required all employees, so like his butler, his chef, his housekeeper, to carry a pouch or fanny pack with cocaine, GHB, ecstasy, marijuana. And we're not talking like little marijuana gummies. We're talking like 250 milligrams of marijuana, which seems like a very large quantity.
So much.
And Tucci, which is ecstasy and cocaine.
Whoa.
He says there were constant threats of violence, including allegations that he had law enforcement in his pocket, bragging about murdering people, bragging about bribing witnesses, and bragging about juror tampering in his 1999 case where J-Lo was with him.
Oh, yeah.
Allegedly shot the girl.
Yep.
But his protege Shine took the fall.
Right.
Lil Rod claims that Diddy told him he had tampered with the jurors.
Oh,
in that
my
case.
gosh.
Now, again, Diddy's lawyers have come out to say that this lawsuit is pure fiction. It's a shameless attempt to create media hype and extract a quick settlement. There was no RICO conspiracy, and Mr. Jones was not threatened, groomed, assaulted, or trafficked. We look forward to proving in a court of law that these claims are made up and must be dismissed.
Yeah, of course they're going to say that.
So then we know after 10 months after that lawsuit, we had those raids.
Wait, I have a question. Has he pled guilty, or is he pleading? Like, what's his plea?
He's pled not guilty, and he's going to trial in May.
Oh, okay. Not guilty, and there's all this evidence against him.
So then remember, so I guess just kind of recapping before we get into
I will say, I'm sorry.
No.
Diddy just sounds like a big mob boss. Like he sounds like the mafia boss of Hollywood. He's blackmailing people. He's got people in his back pocket.
Yeah, he's probably got people who are bigger than him that he's got video evidence of.
Right.
You know, and then he just uses it to hold over them and control them.
Yeah.
Again, just going through the kind of history of things that have happened in the past. So that happened. And then the raid happened in LA and Miami. And then 10 months after that, we get the big indictment of guns, prostitution, drugs, racketeering, arson. And to be clear, we're talking a lot about allegations of like minors being on video, being assaulted. He actually has not been charged with that. I'll talk about some of the
charges,
the lawsuits against him, but as far as like the legal charges for his jail time,
nothing to do with.
There have been no charges about minors yet.
Okay.
So what did they find in those raids? We've talked briefly about it. They found 3 AR-15s with the serial numbers filed off. Could that be a little more suspicious?
Oh my gosh.
Why do you need to file off the serial numbers?
Megan, I might have an answer for you.
Is this going to your research or just, yeah? Well, tell me.
I'll tell you after.
Okay. I can't wait. The drugs they found in the house: cocaine, oxycodone, Xanax, meth. Kate, beta hydroxybutyrate. What do you know about that? That's a lab we send when we're trying to figure out if our patient is in ketoacidosis.
Ketoacidosis. Beta hydroxy.
So I have never even heard of this as like a drug.
You can take it as a drug?
I mean, it was found in his house. So beta hydroxybutyrate I've only heard of in a medical condition that sometimes, when your body goes into an acidotic state, from ketoacidosis, maybe from diabetes or something, the way we confirm that is that you have the presence of beta hydroxybutyrate in your blood. But I've never heard of it as a drug, so I had to look it up, and apparently it's almost identical to GHB. It's a synthetic form of our naturally occurring neurotransmitter, used as a recreational drug, has the same chemical formulation. So sounds like another kind of...
That's wild.
Yeah. Date rape drug, I don't know. We digress. I just was like, that's really weird. Okay. Ketamine. Allegations are that that Diddy controlled his victims' housing, tracked their location, dictated their appearance, monitored their medical records, and supplied them with drugs. And so these legal charges came about after this raid. And in addition to these legal charges, they also requested all of his money and assets in which the crimes occurred or were profits from crimes. The theory is that maybe they want him to whistleblow on an even larger organization. And the fact that this could be even bigger than Diddy, right? So this indictment,
Megan, it could be bigger than Diddy.
I know it is. I think it is.
My gosh. Yeah.
This indictment only covered crimes starting in 2008. So in the meantime, New York City Victims of Gender Motivated Violence Protection Act was passed in New York City. It gives us 2-year window in which sexual assault victims can sue. So now we're not talking about jail time and criminal charges. We're talking about like suing. So they can sue over abuse that would have otherwise been outside that statute of limitations. Again, these charges all started in 2008, but if we go back to 2003, there's this victim who was 25 at the time. She went to a Bad Boy Records office to meet Diddy, was provided a drink, and then she lost consciousness. She claims that she came to bound in his office. She was raped by him and then separately by his buddy. They beat the shit out of her. And she said that Diddy has reached out to her over the years with threats of retaliation if she comes forward. She said she went through a divorce. She had custody proceedings, and he was using those as leverage to prevent her from coming forward about him.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, this guy is nuts. Again, mafia boss.
Yeah. In addition to his criminal trial, as of today, as of this recording, there are 17 known lawsuits in progress against Diddy. There's also a Jane Doe who states that she was 13 in 2000 when she was invited by a limo driver to attend an MTV VMA after party thrown by Diddy in New York, that she had a beverage, she became drowsy, she went to lie down, and that she was then raped by Diddy and another male while a female celebrity watched.
Disgusting.
There's also reports that in 2022, Diddy was assaulting a male victim in his office, and an unnamed professional athlete entered the office and halted the assault. But we don't know who this athlete is.
Oh my gosh. You think it was Kobe? LeBron James? He's tied to Diddy.
Yeah. I mean, we want to give the guy credit. That sounds like he stopped it, but he didn't
report it.
Yeah. And then there's another lawsuit in which it's interesting too that these lawsuits just there's a lot of name dropping, and it's hard to say were they involved or were they just so there's this 2014 story that there was a Vegas party at Club Rehab that apparently was attended by Lil' Kim, Nicki Minaj, Mary J. Blige, And a woman alleged that she was raped by Diddy after being lured to this party, that she like kind of used his famous friends to be like, come meet my friends. And she had this like great time. And then afterwards, he takes her back to his suite at Planet Hollywood and he rapes her after incapacitating her with GHB. So again, these are all kind of like new stories that are coming out that are not covered in those criminal charges. These are like lawsuits that other people have been filing. And again, he's claiming everyone's just after money. Everyone just wants a payday. It's hard to say.
It is hard to
say. Some
say.
of these might be people looking for their 15 minutes, but all of these people having like the same story.
Stories that like he's already being charged, like charged for, you know, like drugging everybody and then having them perform sexual acts. Like, it's not that far of a stretch that he would do it. If he's doing it now, he was doing it
then. Yeah. I'm sure it's right. These things escalate.
Right. And it just goes back to him being that antisocial personality where he's like, nothing can touch me. I'm above everything. Especially if you own people, if you have dirt on them, then you definitely think you can't be touched.
Okay, so I wanted to just briefly to talk about, have you been following this Kim Porter memoir?
I don't know.
Okay. So Kim Porter, we mentioned, is...
I can't remember names.
Okay.
Unless they're famous.
So Kim Porter was Diddy's significant other for over a decade.
Oh, okay.
Before Cassie.
Okay.
And the one who died of pneumonia.
Yes. Mysterious died of pneumonia.
Yes. She has four kids. 3 of them are biologically Diddy's. This alleged memoir in like September comes out. That is apparently is written by an investigative journalist, Chris Todd. He wrote it under a pen name, though.
Okay.
And he says that he wrote it with the blessing and help of Kim Porter before she died, and that it's all based on like her diary. He writes this book. He posts it. It's actually being sold on Amazon, but it's a little fishy. It was being sold for almost $23. It's only 59 pages long. Oh. It's kind of full of typos. So allegedly Kim Porter kind of helped write this memoir. This book was actually written by investigative journalist Chris Todd, who under his pen name alleged the book's prologue that one of Porter's last wishes was for this memoir/diary to be made public. He told the Rolling Stone that he was given the source material by 2 people who said they were close to Porter and Combs after the Cassie lawsuit in November of last year. He told the Associated Press that these sources provided him with a flash drive, documents, and tapes from Porter that he pieced together to create this memoir. Now, Kim Porter's 4 kids have all come out to say that like any claims that their mom wrote this book are simply untrue. Anyone who's claiming to have a manuscript is misrepresenting themselves. Additionally, please understand that any so-called friend speaking on behalf of our mom or her family is not a friend, nor do they have her best interests at heart.
Oh.
And Diddy's attorney has, of course, said this is fake. This is a shameless attempt to profit from tragedy.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it is kind of sus because the book is kind of poorly written. It is very short, 59 pages. It was over $22. It actually got taken down by Amazon a couple weeks ago because of complaints, and people are like, how did it even make it on Amazon?
Right.
So he'd already like posted this, and then when the takedown happened with Diddy, this book shot to #1.
Oh, I'm sure.
Amazon. So someone's definitely profiting. So you have to take that like
with a grain of salt.
Are these accusations real?
Yeah.
What does this guy even know? Some of the accusations that he did describe, though, he said that Kim Porter talked about physical abuse started when she declined to perform a specific act that Diddy had requested, a sexual act. She said she wasn't interested, and then that's when the physical abuse first started. She talked about him throwing a chair at her, sleeping with her, making videos with multiple underage boys that he had managed, as well as an 18-year-old who went on to become famous. I don't know who would that be? An 18-year-old who went on to become famous. I don't know.
Harry Styles.
I don't know.
I saw something about Harry Styles.
Is he involved?
I saw that. Yeah.
I think she also talked about like he made her participate in these freak-offs while she was pregnant. Again, the allegations are pretty similar to everything we're already seeing. Like there's drug-fueled parties, that there's maybe some child sexual abuse, there's physical abuse happening. In this book, he claims that Kim Porter claimed that Diddy allegedly set Faith Evans up to be with Notorious B.I.G. in order to monitor him, and that she always believed that Diddy was behind his murder. It alleges that there were sexual relationships with Jay-Z, Will Smith, Clive Davis, Mary J. Blige, Faith Evans, Jamie Foxx, Jada Pinkett Smith, Al B. Sure, who was actually Kim Porter's ex-husband, that there was like a little freak off with the three of them happening.
Oh.
And then in this book, they also talk about Biggie Smalls' mom confronting Diddy about her son's death and asking for some of his profits. So I think I mentioned that, like, I didn't really realize Diddy was not famous until
Biggie died.
Yeah. And that really his first hit was I'll Be Missing You.
Yeah.
But like he was only worth about $10 million.
That he has to pay, he has to.
Oh, $2 million a day to Sting, right?
Yep.
It's something absurd like that.
Something absurd, yeah.
I think I touched on like, wow, he really kind of got famous on the back of his dead friend, but I didn't realize how much. Like he was worth like $10 million before Biggie died. And then afterwards he was worth like $120 million.
Yeah.
Because he was releasing all these albums after his death and like.
Right. It was like capital. He was capitalizing.
I mean, he definitely profited. So again, when we go back to motive, was he involved?
Right.
Who profited? Right. Follow
the money. Exactly.
So apparently Biggie Smalls' mom confronted Diddy and was like, can I have some money? And Diddy said no. Allegedly, Kim Porter said that she found a vault of tapes that Diddy had made with his sexual encounters, and she used them against him as leverage to get away out of this relationship.
Oh, wow.
And that Kimora Lee Simmons was actually present when Kim Porter threatened to release these tapes. And then, not long after, she dies of pneumonia.
Oh my gosh.
In this book, there's also allegations that Tupac and Kim Porter slept together, and Diddy wanted to sleep with Pac, but Pac didn't want to sleep with Diddy. Although we've also heard other rumors that cannot be substantiated about Pac and Diddy, right?
Yeah.
But in this book, they imply that the fact that Kim Porter and Pac had a relationship, that Diddy wanted to have a relationship with Pac and Pac wasn't interested, and then the fact that Tupac and Biggie were going to maybe go off and form their own label, all of this is what caused Diddy to set up that quad studio shooting where Tupac then became paranoid, divided him from Biggie, and went on to
yada yada.
So all of this is in this book, but the question is, can we trust this book? I'm gonna say probably not. I mean, again, most of these allegations are not new allegations, but it just sounds like this guy might be trying to profit from the press,
Yeah, he could just have like a little bit of detail and just be confabulating.
Yeah, I think there was some article that he was like, you know what, maybe it's not 100% true, but maybe it's 80% true.
Right.
Other things I've been seeing in the news, seeing on my For You page. Did you see how the New York Post got access to all these videos?
No.
So the New York Post had seen some of the videos that have been submitted to evidence in the case against Diddy.
Yep.
Kind of the summary of what some of these. They're not naming people outside of Diddy that they're seeing in these videos, which I think is fair because it's also hard to say who are victims and who are perpetrators.
Yeah, who are part of it.
And who was just like at a party but not at the after party,
right, Right.
But kind of some of the videos they've seen, they said the New York Post says they saw a video from the 2005 VMAs in Miami in which Diddy had an after party and then there was an after party, the freak off. So at the initial party, who was present? Ice-T, and that just breaks my heart. Ice-T cannot be involved. I love SVU. I'm sure he was just at the party. I'm sure he was not at the freak off. And if I find out he was at a freak off, it's going to break my heart.
Oh, yeah.
Quincy Jones, Paris Hilton, Eva Longoria. So they were all at this nightclub. Again, they were not, as far as we know,
not present at the freak off.
At the after party. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we know this happened, that there was this party, 2005 VMA party. We've seen pictures. We know what Diddy was wearing. Okay, so New York Post then reviews this video that's allegedly from a freak off that night.
Okay.
And they said that it was just Diddy with the host of, in this particular video, other attractive men and women in various stages of undress, but there weren't, as far as they said, they didn't see any like celebrities that they could identify in this particular video. In the video, 2 white men took turns having sex with a young black woman who had white powder under her nose. I think this also goes back to some of these stories about like, can you consent? Like if you're under the influence, right? And so that's, again, it's going to be a hard time identifying who was a victim and who wasn't. But in this video, Diddy is wearing a God is the Greatest t-shirt, which he was seen wearing earlier at the after party at the club, at the Space nightclub. In the same video, there's a couple having sex on a table just surrounded by people. And then Diddy is seen having sex with a much younger A-list star. Again, New York Post never points out who these people are, but they have freak off videos. Also, they reviewed from the 2004-2005 VMAs after the 2005 Super Bowl in Jacksonville, Florida. Who was at that? Again, when we're just looking at who was at these parties, not the after parties, but like Ashton Kutcher, Ashley Simpson, Joe Francis, who was the Girls Gone Wild producer. And so that night after the 2005 Super Bowl, there was an after party and Diddy filmed himself having sex with a woman. And again, I think the line is just going to be like, Was this consensual? Had he threatened, intimidated, drugged, blackmailed, all these allegations that we have, that's how he controlled people? Like, that's really what it's going to come down to. So Perez Hilton actually had a point too when he was like, we know that these people all came into the parties and signed NDAs. What if there was like a release form within that NDA or like a consent form? Like, did they know he was making videos? Did they have like, I don't know. Diddy still maintains that while there were all these videos with a lot of sexual acts happening, everything was consensual. I want to talk about Jamie Foxx. Have you been following the Jamie Foxx?
Yes.
Okay, what do you think about that?
I believe it. That Diddy was part of why he had the accident.
I'm thinking this might just be a little publicity. So we do know Jamie Foxx and Diddy were buddies. Okay, something happened to cause a rift. We don't know what that was. So Foxx was hospitalized in April of 2023 due to an unspecified health emergency. He has since said, I had a headache, and this is like April 11th, 2023. I had a headache. I asked my boy for an Advil, and after that, he was gone for 20 days. That's what he says. So really, his family's been very hush-hush. We don't know what exactly happened. Fast forward to now. Jamie Foxx filmed a Netflix special called What Had Happened Was.
Okay.
So it's not aired yet on Netflix. It's coming soon to Netflix.
Okay.
And he recorded the special over 3 days. So rumors have been swirling that like maybe Diddy was involved in what happened to Jamie Foxx.
Right.
So this videographer producer, Choke No Joke, did an interview earlier this month in which he claimed that the rumor in the industry was that that he had told Jamie to chill, he didn't chill, and so Diddy and his security beat Jamie's ass, and that's why Jamie was in the hospital. That was the quote. So he claims that he had attempted a few of the tapings of this Netflix special, What Had Happened Was, and in it, Foxx allegedly stated that, quote, Diddy was responsible for what happened to him, and Foxx is the one who called the FBI on Combs. And there are other people who were present at this special who confirmed the story. But there's also another source who's like, wait, that was 100% a joke. In fact, what he said was like, come on, guys, if Diddy had done it, I would be dead. So very unclear on if in this special, we're going to find out that Diddy was involved in Jamie Foxx. Now, Jamie Foxx has kind of hyped this up and been like, what happened to me is going to come out in this special.
Oh.
He's been seen by paparazzi out in the world, and he's kind of just like smirks at them and like doesn't comment. So I don't know. It makes sense to me that he wants people to watch. He's trying to have a comeback. He wants people to watch his special. Yeah. I don't know if I'm buying it yet, but I'll probably watch it and we'll probably find out. Right? People are arguing like, look, he disappeared. Diddy goes to jail, and suddenly Jamie Foxx is like having a Netflix special and out living his life.
Right.
Out pumping gas, getting photographed by the paparazzi. Yeah. Does he finally feel safe to be out? I don't know.
I'm on that team.
You're on that team?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I wanted to briefly touch on Ashton and Mila, kind of update on them. Because you know what we've been seeing about them?
They fled the country.
Have they fled already?
I don't know if they fled already, but I've heard that
that's the rumor.
Yeah.
Yes. So lots of publications.
J-Lo's been abroad too.
Well, and like they said Leo too, but I didn't fact check that.
No, I don't know.
Lots of publications writing about Ashton and Mila potentially wanting to leave the country, but trying to find where this came from. It's all from an anonymous source in all of these different articles. So I don't know if we can believe this, but the quote from this source is that Ashton's so exasperated that once again he's being dragged through the mud because of his past associations. First it was Danny Masterson and now it's Diddy, and it's got to convince that there are way better places out there to live than Hollywood. In his view, the town is just a cesspool at this point. Another source claims that they took their kids to Night 2 at Wembley, Taylor Swift. They had so much fun, and they're like, oh, we should move. That's what's prompting their move.
Right.
A Taylor Swift concert. Now, remember how Ashton's people came out and said, I told you this in the last episode, they're like, all these photographs are coming out and they're like, that's cool. They're not really friends. They're just like professionals. They just like go to these professional events together.
Right.
Okay. Well, not true. Now we've unearthed all these clips where they're talking about what friends they were, right? Ashton in the Hot Ones appearance was like, well, we became fast friends. We used to hang out and watch football together. In the 2018 Late Late Show with James Corden, Diddy said, I gave Ashton a call one day and said, I heard you're going to punk me and I just don't think it's a good idea. If you do that, that will not end well for you. But I think we should work out a deal. And that's when they became friends. They used to club together a lot. There's all these old interviews talking about it. They clubbed a lot in the early 2000s. In a Time magazine article, Diddy said, with Jamie Foxx, we were a rat pack. So Jamie Foxx, Diddy, and Ashton. We were hanging out, going to the clubs. But in 2003, Ashton fell in love with Demi Moore. They stopped clubbing. They remained close, is what everything says.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There is an uncomfortable clip that has resurfaced from the 2003 VMAs. And did you see this? With the girl from The Ring. Davy Chase, the actress from The Ring, 12 years old. She's at the 2003 VMAs. Diddy, who's 33, is talking to her and he's giggling. He's like, "Are you coming to the after party?" And she says yes. And he starts giggling. And guess who's in the background also laughing? 25-year-old Ashton Kutcher. Yes. So Ashton Kutcher's people are like, "You guys are just trying to make a, mountain out of a molehill," but it's a little suspicious.
That's very,
especially now that we know how many freak offs happened after VMAs.
right. So many.
Yeah. We talked before, like, what do we think Kanye is really a secret good guy or not?
I am on the fence about Kanye.
Yeah.
He is so weird.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, definitely is bipolar.
yeah,
right?
yeah. Like,
Yeah.
and this whole thing about like they're keeping me sick. They're feeding me these meds, and like I'm just like, I don't know. I feel like that's just like grandiose behavior.
Delusions of grandiosity.
Yeah, but also I'm like, well, maybe he's telling the truth.
Well, now we don't know about like, Britney and everything, right?
Right.
Lindsay Lohan.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know what part of Kanye, because like there's also videos of him like being like, Diddy needs to call me, like at a concert, like Diddy, you need to call me, and he's like calling out to Diddy like, we need to talk, bro. I could end up dead. He says that in one of his concerts. Kanye, yeah.
Okay.
And he's videoed saying it, and it's like, you need to call me. I could end up dead for saying this, but Diddy, you need to call me. And it's like,
that's creepy.
Yes, like,
is this new or is this old?
This is old, an older clip. So yeah, so I'm like, I have no idea.
Like, I don't know what to make of it either.
I have no idea. I'm like, kind of, you're freaking nuts, but also like, are you telling the truth?
Yeah,
is part of what you're saying like the truth. Yeah.
Is there an element of a tiny little kernel of truth here?
Right.
Well, he's in trouble right now because his personal assistant filed a lawsuit in June claiming that he'd fired her after sending vile texts and videos. She amended the lawsuit in October to claim. Now, I will say this also. We always want to give the victim a benefit of the doubt, right? There's a lot of victims in this case. But it's interesting that like all this goes down with Diddy and then she amends her lawsuit to include Diddy. So that's kind of, I don't know. Or maybe she felt like he's finally under arrest and I'm safe to say this. I don't know, but it's just interesting timing. So she amends the lawsuit in October to claim that in addition to sexual harassment, she was drugged by Kanye at a studio session co-hosted by Diddy. She and a client were invited to the recording session. After arrival, they were served drinks and told if they wanted to stay, they had to drink. We've heard that is something he says in the past, right? She said she was served by Kanye and was just disoriented after a few sips, woke up the next morning with almost no memory of what had occurred the night before, with only feelings of immense shame and embarrassment. She said several years later, Kanye brought the night up and told her that he had hooked up with her that night. To be clear, she just is like Diddy was there, but she never said Diddy did anything to her.
Okay.
So I don't know about Kanye. You saw that Joe Jonas changed his lyrics, right? Very, very similar to Kesha.
Oh, Kesha. Oh yeah, where Kesha says, I woke up in the morning feeling like.
Well, she used to say, woke up in the morning feeling like P. Diddy. And now she says, like, woke up in the morning like fuck P. Diddy.
Yeah.
So Joe Jonas, I didn't know this. It's too bad that Colleen is, hunting Elvis right now because she seems like she's probably more knowledgeable on the Jonas Brothers than we are.
She probably definitely understands the Joe Bros better than us. Yeah.
So apparently Joe Jonas, he's got this song, Cake by the Ocean. And there's lyrics in it that say, I'll be Diddy and you'll be Naomi. And it's supposed to be a reference to when I guess Diddy and Naomi Campbell were together back in the day. But he's now reworded it to like, I'll be watching you be Naomi. Instead, he took out the Diddy reference, which, that's also just smart now.
Yeah, he's like, you know what?
No.
I don't need this. Yeah.
I did see an influencer who said, but if you go back, Joe and Diddy worked together on an MTV show, Next, Famous at Your Doorstep, where they helped aspiring musicians succeed. During this time, they got close, and Joe would come to his parties, and Joe would curate the music and the playlist. And so maybe they had more of a relationship than we know. I had a really hard time fact-checking this, but it's interesting because I also, I follow some gossip sites like Dumois, Love Dumois. Okay, Entertainment Lawyer posted a blind item in September, and it said, this illiterate, not illiterate, illiterate. Yeah. This illiterate singer who is A-list in two different groups was a frequent invitee. The freak-offs was a frequent invitee to freak-offs where he met the woman who used to sell him drugs and also the woman who loved grooming young guys that he would hook up with from time to time. So that sounds like him in that blind.
It sure does.
But unclear from that blind whether he was a victim, a perpetrator. I don't know. And I really can't find more information. So we'll keep looking into that one.
Yep, we'll keep looking.
Friend of the pod, Jillian, actually reached out to us on our last episode to let us know that we forgot to include a very popular reference.
Which one was that?
Khloe Kardashian.
Oh.
You heard about the Kardashian Association?
I haven't heard of the Kardashians.
What did you hear?
No, I just have heard of it.
Okay. So, so apparently going back into old keeping.
Khloe is the middle one.
So Khloe is the youngest of the three oldest.
Wait, hold on. She married the basketball player.
Correct.
She has a different face.
Lamar Odom. She's lost a lot of weight.
Questionable who her father is.
Yes. Is she OJ's daughter?
Yeah. Is she the hairstylist daughter?
Yeah. Other conspiracy.
Yeah.
And she kind of was my favorite, although Jillian was like, I think she's the most screwed up one.
You know what? I think so too. My favorite is Kourtney.
I guess Kourtney is the most down to earth. I think you're right. So,
although I don't watch the Kardashians,
So apparently they reference there's multiple quotes from the show in which they talk about how Khloe Kardashian, she was kind of a party animal in her younger years.
Yes.
And she was actually sent to be on tour with Diddy when she was 16.
No.
Why was she on tour with Diddy? She wasn't a singer. She wasn't a dancer. I can't figure out in my Google deep dive what she was doing.
Oh, no.
Or why her mom allowed that, but we know that she was touring with Diddy when she was 16. We also know the Kardashians like to hang with Diddy. There's lots of photos online. They have lots of references on Keeping Up with the Kardashian. They were all at his 50th birthday party. Oh, in a 2014 episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians, they talk about how Khloe went to a party and she talks about she was with Diddy, his adopted son Quincy Combs, rapper French Montana, and Justin Bieber, who was only, in 2014 at this time, he was 20.
Right.
We know he was around for that.
Is this when Justin Bieber was hanging out with Kourtney?
Yeah, well, there's a rumor that he might be the father of one of Kourtney's kids.
Yeah.
And she says that there was this wild party. Half the people at the party were butt naked. She says she didn't even leave the party till 5:30 in the morning. And then at one point, Kourtney turns to Khloe's friend and says, asks her about the party. And Khloe turns to her and says, "Don't say anything."
Oh.
So
that's suspicious.
Are the Kardashians involved? I don't
Probably.
know. Thank you for pointing that out, Jillian, for us to look into. We'll keep following the Kardashian storyline. Last thing I fact checked was just, were you seeing this thing about that he maybe adopted this girl? Have you seen those on your For You page? Okay, then I would. There is this clip circulating, Ava Baroni, that she was adopted by Puff Daddy.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this video online and it's like her and Diddy and they're talking. It's from 2020. And he says, "It's breaking news. Diddy adopted a white child. I want you to tell them the story of how I adopted you. You still have beautiful parents, but you're my child also. So tell the story." And Ava says, "Well, I was in the streets and Papa Combs decided that he would like to be a caring man. So then he saw me and decided to pick me up. And he said, 'Come inside, play with my kids.' Diddy says, 'I adopted you because I felt that you could enjoy also having a black parent to take care of you and help you out.' He said he had permission from Baroni's mother." So, and then he kisses her on the cheek and she calls him Papa Combs. It's kind of a creepy.
So creepy.
Yes. So then everyone's like, wait, he's just it's like what he did with Bieber for 48 hours. He's adopting these kids. But that has been fact checked. TMZ says there was never legal adoption. This was all like a little skit. Ava's parents were very close friends with Kim Porter before she died. And there's no evidence that anything happened, but we do know that she's very good friends with his twin daughters. There's a lot of photos of them together on social media and whatnot. But that's just kind of a weird story that was circulating that fact check. We don't have evidence to support it right now.
Yeah.
TMZ, that's a couple lawyers.
Yeah.
Fact check it. And then finally, the thing I think we need to talk in a separate episode. We need to cover Michael Jackson in its own episode, but interesting also that Fahim Muhammad is Diddy's fixer. You know about him? Head of security.
Yep.
And what was he doing before that? He was MJ's head of security.
Oh.
He was the second.
There's hardly anything online about him.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I do think it sounds like he really was like a nobody. Everyone's like, how did this guy go from becoming a
Right.
nobody to like
Right.
the head of security?
Like if you look at his Instagram, there's like 2 pages, 2 pictures. Like on his LinkedIn, it says like what he did, but like nothing about him. Yeah.
Well, he was second on the scene after MJ died, 1 year into his job. And so then he goes on and becomes the head of Diddy security. And you know, there's also this whole theory now about like, was Michael Jackson actually innocent?
Murdered.
Yeah. Was he framed? Were all of these accusations against him false? Was he framed? Was he murdered? So that's going to have to be a separate deep dive. But those are kind of the notes I've been keeping from what I've been seeing on the social media. What have you been seeing?
Okay. Do you know anything about Jonathan Odie?
I don't.
Oh,
who is this person?
My gosh, Megan. So Jonathan Odie is a South African native who became a U.S. citizen. Like, he became a U.S. citizen in 2018. He posted on Instagram in front of a flag, American flag, like, I'm a U.S. citizen. So happy. He was like a social media influencer for fitness. He was like a fitness social media. He was so excited. Under the Instagram, it said, God bless the USA, finally an American. Then, like a weekend later, he went inside Trump National Doral Miami Resort and like caused a huge ruckus. He got into a firefight and chase with police. He wanted the Secret Service to get there, and then he let himself get arrested. So this was like in 2018 when Trump was president, right? And so he caused this big ruckus in one of his
in a Trump hotel.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So
was Trump there?
No, Trump wasn't there.
He just went into
he wanted the Secret Service to
show up. Okay.
Yeah. I'm like, maybe Trump was in Florida all the time.
Yeah. So he just made a big scene to get arrested.
Yep,
okay.
To get arrested. And after he was so excited about being, a U.S. citizen.
Okay.
So then, in a bizarre interview by the Secret Service, he says he did this whole thing for a wake-up call to America because he worked very closely with Diddy. Diddy and Cassie hired him as a sex slave, and he claims that, he had to have sex with Cassie, and Diddy would be there. And
well, this does sound like the MO that we know about Diddy. Okay.
And so he says that often Diddy would be working, and he claims that Diddy would be on the phone saying that there's a whole group that is planning to sabotage President Trump, that it's called the Boule, which is a group associated with the Illuminati, and it's plotting, are you ready for it? An assassination attempt on Donald Trump.
Okay, but this all allegedly happened 5 years ago?
2018.
Okay.
He said that Diddy would be on the phone during these freak-offs, that the CIA would be mentioned about taking Trump out, just like they took out Kennedy. And the whole reason they want to do it is they want to dissolve the U.S. into chaos and ultimately to fail as a country.
Okay, I've got some questions, Kate. What was it? Okay. So this all happened 6 years ago, and we're just hearing about it now.
No. In 2018, people reported on it, and they were like, why is he talking about Diddy? Like, this is all crazy. Like, he sounds crazy. But Megan, if you watch the interview, it is scary.
I mean, that is a little interesting that in
2018,
he was calling out Diddy long before Diddy was getting called out.
That's why it's coming back up.
But the Diddy to the CIA and the Trump assassination attempts, that's quite a jump.
You said it is bigger than Diddy.
You're right. Is that what you think he was using shotguns for?
Yeah. That's exactly what I think he was using it for assassination attempts. We don't know. This is all crazy. But in 2024, there have been 2 arrested individuals for assassination.
I know, but that's also, they've not been good attempts. And they've been...
Well, I don't even think one actually was an attempt. I think they just
found the guy.
Yeah. And then the other one
was a weak attempt that just had a poor response time.
I think the other one was actually a good attempt because, remember, he just moved his head. Yeah, he just moved his head.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
But I mean, the guy was like out in the open, right?
Yeah, and the Secret Service didn't do anything.
And they were just like, oh, why is there a guy in that?
All this, there's all this pushback, right?
Yeah. I don't know. You know what? It sounds really out there, Kate, but at the same time,
you got to watch the video.
It all sounds out there. The things that sounded out there 2 years ago, it's like, oh, but they're actually happening. You know?
Right.
So this sounds really out there, but who knows? In a year, we'll be like,
I don't know. I believe it.
I'm sure. I know you do.
The boule is part of the Illuminati.
Well, maybe I don't know what the boule is. So maybe
that's what I was just telling you. Boule is part of the it's a group associated with the Illuminati.
Okay, Colleen will have to cover that in her secret society.
So I just feel like Ryan, our friend of the pod, is listening to this part, and he's like, "Oh my!"
He's like, fast forward.
He is rolling his eyes so hard at me right now, but I don't care. I believe it. Megan, you have to watch it. I'm gonna.
Link, are you gonna put it on the social media?
Because it's scary. He's sitting there just talking about Diddy, like all the stuff that we know about him right now in 2018, and they're like, there's articles that are like, why is he talking about Diddy? This man is obviously crazy.
Yeah,
is he?
Yeah,
that part's true. What else could be true?
Yeah.
Anyway,
interesting.
Also in this interview, he alleges that Diddy is part of a drug trafficking cartel because he uses his private plane to go across to Mexico and bring back drugs.
What was he doing when the police served him?
He was on his plane?
Yeah, he was on the tarmac in Miami with his drug mule.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, because they don't have to go through customs, and he's like telling this guy, like, this is how Diddy's getting drugs.
Yeah.
You think that this is a problem? There's a problem because private planes are going across your border and they don't have to go through.
Yeah.
Sounds pretty real to me, Maggie.
What do we think about the baby oil that they're like, it's probably GHB?
Oh, like in it?
Is the GHB is it like absorbed through the skin, or is he like giving it to them is he just like storing it? What do we think about
I think it's probably a little bit of both. Like it's probably like in the drink, and then they get a little bit more relaxed, and then they use the baby oil, and then it gets even more you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. That guy is a creep.
He is a creep.
And then there's something else about Alfredo P. Gonzalez. Okay. He is so Alfredo P. Gonzalez is incarcerated in Canyon City, Colorado. He's in a prison, a correctional facility, I guess. And he's part of the Sinaloa drug cartel. Okay, that's from Mexico.
Okay.
And there's actually no other there's no public record about why he's in the prison. Like you can't look it up. Like I don't know why he's actually in the prison.
That's sus.
I know. However, he filed a claim on August 13th, 2024 that it was like a defamation claim against P. Diddy. So he's saying that P. Diddy, he got a phone call. This guy is part of a drug cartel. He does bring drugs across from Mexico. He's already saying that. That's probably why he's in jail, you know. But he gets a call from an anonymous business partner of P. Diddy, who's telling him like, next time you come across the border with your drugs, bring some kids. Like trafficking, kid trafficking.
And that's like the most, because we keep talking about trafficking.
Yeah.
And it is technically trafficking, but I feel like it's not what Diddy's been doing is not, it's like holding people hostage and like,
Right.
But it's not like trafficking in the sense that we generally think of trafficking, which is what this sounds like. This is like.
Sounds like he's actually trafficking.
Yeah. He's like getting deeper and deeper into it.
Right.
Okay.
And he's like, this guy is like, dude, I've got morals. I only traffic drugs.
I don't traffic kids.
Yeah. He's like, absolutely not. And the guy's like, well, you have nothing to worry about because the business partner is trying to negotiate with him. Like, if you do this for, Puff Daddy, it doesn't matter. Like, he's got it on lock. There's no quote lock. Like, there's nothing that's going to happen to you.
No, because he's got secret films of
everybody
politicians else. And higher ups and
politicians. And so anyway, this guy's like, no, I want no part of this. And so the business guy like hangs up. The calls ended like with no agreement to, traffic kids across the border. Then he's saying that he gets another call again, asking again if they would bring underage boys and girls over the US border, and Alfredo's like, yeah, no, I'm not. I don't do this. I don't do this. I don't do this stuff. So he also insulted Bad Boy Records. He says the business partner said that they could, quote, make his life hell because of how much power they have on the streets. And that this guy's like, Alfredo, he's like, well, you got to do what you got to do. I don't want any part of this.
Even criminals have their line, And when did he say all of this?
He said this August in 2024.
Okay. So this is a recent
thing.
Yeah. So, I mean, he could be looking.
Yeah.
Looking,
so the court case was dismissed because there was lack of evidence. They couldn't find like really any way to like hold him to it. But that's very interesting to me that those are like, I mean, again, it's hard to believe the guy in Colorado.
Yeah. I mean, I think the people that's like, because again, you want to believe the victims. You want to give everyone the benefit of the doubt, but it is almost harder. It is like, as the more publicity this all gets, then the more you have to think like, I mean, this guy's got something to gain. He's in prison. If he can like testify against someone, is he going to get out?
Right.
And it's just like interesting. Like you didn't come forward with this accusation until
when was Diddy?
Well, August 2024.
When was he arrested?
Like, was it September? So he gets arrested, and then this guy in Colorado is like, oh yeah, he was trying to get me to smuggle children for him.
No, because this was before he was arrested. But it sounds.
But the arrest was also like 6 months after the.
Yeah, there was like a
press.
Whole, like
he was waiting to get arrested in New York. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I wonder what Diddy was thinking, like as this case was building, and they were like, do you think he was like, oh shit?
Well, what do we think about the theory that he's in Mexico right now?
Oh yeah, and that somebody switched bodies with him.
Yeah,
because they don't have the mole.
Yeah, but every photo I see looks so filtered.
I know.
And his face does look rounder, but also it's been very stressful. His cortisol is probably through the roof.
Yeah.
Maybe he's not taking care of himself.
No.
In the lead up to his arrest.
Right. I will say the mugshot, he looks more like Ethiopian than he does in real life.
Yeah. It's like an eyebrow situation.
Yeah,
right?
that's what I'm saying. Like it's interesting.
But again, it looks, even the mugshot photos I see look very filtered. So I can't really speak to that. And again, it's another story where you're like, that's so out there. But then, we're finding out these stories are true.
I know he has enough.
Yeah. I think maybe he just has a rounder face because he's probably puffy. He's probably, again, sleep deprived, stressed out. Maybe he's been eating some not good food, Something about the distance in his eyes is different too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I guess we'll see so in May it goes, is it really going to go to trial in May? I feel like all this stuff always gets postponed.
It's definitely probably going back to trial. Yeah.
But I guess we'll see. Yeah. Like when we see more of him in the press, we can better assess his, appearance if we think it's really him. If he makes it to trial, he could get taken out Epstein style.
He might get taken out Epstein style.
Mm-hmm.
Or he could take himself out. At last we heard he wasn't eating,
That's
right?
what you were saying, yeah. I think currently, at the time of this recording, there's some grand jury hearings going on with a bunch of witnesses who are coming forward who maybe have evidence. So that'll be interesting to hear.
That will be interesting.
What comes of all of that.
Yeah, follow along.
Yeah.
Keep you posted.
All right, so we didn't even talk about Jay-Z and Beyonce.
Cahoots with Diddy, and the whole music industry is about to crumble. That's what I think.
All right. Well, hopefully
maybe I'll eat my words.
Hopefully next time, hopefully when Jillian joins us to talk about Diddy, she has some thoughts on, because we really haven't gotten too deep into the Jay-Z.
No, we haven't. I
Beyonce allegations.
A little bit of the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
I know. Well, all of this is so, I mean, we're talking again, the entire industry.
I know.
And we're talking athletes. We're talking like musicians, actors, athletes. It's just so much.
Follow the money, Maggie.
So we're going to promise you now, next time we cover Diddy in a couple months,
we'll talk about Jay-Z.
We'll talk about Jay-Z and Beyonce.
Yeah. I just keep thinking when they say like they're modern day Bonnie and Clyde, that's like their name for each other. And I'm like, Bonnie and Clyde were criminals that got away with things.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they've just been hiding in plain sight.
I don't really get the Beyonce hype. I don't really get.
Me neither. I don't understand it either. But I also am like different.
Yes. Yeah. I'm not
people because also people don't understand the Tay hype. And
do you think that's why? Do you think that's, to each their own, and we don't judge anyone? And you could argue it could be harder to stay with someone after they break your trust than to just end a marriage. But do we think that's why they stayed together after he cheated on her and her sister assaulted him, because they have stuff on each other?
Mean, part of me feels like it's very much a business partnership. Like, again, they probably do have some sort of love and respect for each other, but like the longer I'm like, I don't feel like they're very like affectionate with each other.
I don't know. He's like a little, yeah. Well, I don't know. He just seems like a dick.
Yeah.
But then he got up and he was like, "You all haven't. She's never won best album." And I'm like, "You're sounding like Kanye right now."
Right. For real.
Okay. Can't we just celebrate people?
Right.
Okay. All right. That's
it.
That's all I got.
But we'll be back. We're gonna keep following this again. We'll keep you updated on the Diddy deets.
The Diddy deets.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or Diddy discussions. And we'll be back next week with our third scheme queen.
Yeah.
Right?
She'll be back and she'll be able to tell us about
Elvis.
Yeah. Whether or not she found him.
All right. Thanks, guys.
See you next Tuesday.